All right, let's get this party started, baby. Let's do it. Good morning to everybody out there across the world. 7:01 a.m. on a Thursday. Had some awesome call-outs last night. Just 3 for 3 on those plays. Today is not sponsored by an energy drink. Unfortunately, we don't have Jocko go with us right now. But I do have Wegmans coffee. And my new daddy needs more coffee mug. So, yeah. I'm going to use this thing, bottomless coffee over here. Because coffee doesn't hit as good as energy drinks, does it? No, it doesn't. Should have just done my dry scoop like the other guys in the gang. All right, let's move on into the charts today. Forex Factory. We have unemployment claims at 8:30 a.m. We have Philly Fed Manufacturing Index at 8:30 a.m. 10 a.m. we have existing home sales. 11:30 a.m. No, it's tentative actually. Well, sometime today our Lady Yellen speaks. Yeah, FOMC member Waller speaking at 12. Bauman speaking at 3. So, Fed's out and about today. You got Yellen out. You got a handful of things today. So, nothing. I don't think it's anything too crazy that, hey, we need to be like, don't trade. But it's just something to keep an eye out. Like, hey, we do have stuff going on today. So just make sure you're watching your positions and you have stops in place. Let's take a look at the dollar. Daily chart ranging, 4-hour chart in a range as well. Sitting right below 102. Creating this wedge within a channel. A wedge within a channel. So the dollar bias is going to be just really a break of 102 or a break of, let's say 101.750. Yeah, so one way or the other, we're either heading through 102 to 102.2 or we're heading through 101.750 to 101.5. So breakout of this wedge will be the driving force with the dollar today. Equities. US30. This is one of the plays I was talking about last night in my Asian session analysis was expect a drop off in US30 / the equities overall overnight. Basically what I was looking at, if you go to the daily chart and zoom out, this 34,150 back in 2021, you have some resistance and support in this area. Support, resistance, resistance, just all in this area here. And previously, last few days, that's where we came up and rejected as well. So we are at a strong area of resistance on the daily chart. 4-hour chart. Got this trend line going back for the last couple of months. We've been creating these higher lows. And so we've also been changing a little bit of characteristics here by then now creating lower highs here. And I figured we'd then eventually just squeeze down and roll over through this 33,800 level. And that's what we got. So it was pretty easy trade idea. Started rolling through we were on the backside of the EMA. It was sloped downwards. First time it was sloped downwards in a while. And so we got some selling pressure with that. What am I looking at for today? Well, I'd like to see some kind of retracement, retest of the backside, and then a continuation down. I'm looking for sells today and sells only. Not looking for buys. We are now in a bearish sequence here. Now that we broke through just all of these lows here, we're now in a bearish sequence. So I'm looking for sells. 38.2% retracement is going to be sitting right around this VWAP area, this retest of this break. So I'm going to look for an entry in this range for sells. US 500 daily chart shooting a double top in here. Oh. You got this wick starting to create these lower highs now. And we're now rolling over, pushing back down. 4-hour chart. Again, breaking through this trend line that we had going on in here. Higher lows. It's a little deeper of a retest that you would expect for head and shoulders, but regardless, we're still creating somewhat of a head and shoulder structure here. So, looking for sells. I think we get a deeper retracement on this one. So, honestly, the Dow has better sells just because we'd be looking for sells on a retest of like, you know, VWAP area or potentially a little higher. And at that point, we're just back. We're still in this range here. We're still in this range. So this could easily just push up. So we're still in this range. So I trust the Dow sells better than US 500. So I will not be trading the S&P sells today. Not trading the buys either because we just broke through these lows. And so we're technically now with these lower highs, lower lows, and bearish structure here. So I'm going to wait for some type of pullback, and then maybe eventually we'll look for sells, but not today. The NASDAQ daily chart sitting in this range, pushing down. 4-hour chart. Looking very similar to the S&P. You've got an awkward head and shoulders pattern here. Creating these lower highs. Broke through all of these lows, now creating lower lows. So selling sequence for NASDAQ. .2% retracement is going to be right around VWAP, right around this area right here. So you look for a pop and then drop. But again, same issue here with S&P is we're now going to be back in this range. Back in this consolidation range. Not a huge fan. However, I do want to point out that might go in line with how I trade this. So let me pull out the fibs and see if that's how it's going to work out today. Yeah, well, little higher, little too high of a retracement. So typically what I look for when you have a consolidation range is, let me turn this into, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Well, whatever. Regardless, so when you have a consolidation range here and you have price that pierces through the lows, you'll get one of two things. You'll either get a retest of the bottom here and a continuation down, or if it decides that it wants to continue back up into the range, typically it retests the 50% retracement of this entire range here, and then it heads down. That's a little deeper of a retracement that I would like. So yeah, that's a little too deep for me. So, you know, maybe you'll get something up into this 13,000 then dump. But regardless, not the point. The point is the Dow has the better structure today for sells. I'm not even going to really consider longs. I mean, unless we can. The problem is like now structure is okay. This is now swing high. So we're really in sells until we break through the high. So probably not going to look for longs today. Looking at metals. All right. This was a long idea overnight. Pretty clean move. Very simple. As far as price action today, broke through this counter trend line here with these lower highs. Just broke through. Gave us a retest. We're now running. All right, so you'd expect price to run into some type of resistance, and I talk about this a lot when we have these trend line breaks. Is the areas you want to look for as resistance will be the points of intersection. So 2007, and then the next one's not until, let's say, 2040. So I'd expect price to continue. 30-minute chart looks like it's coming down to retest this breakout here. Let's see. So you could look for something back down towards VWAP area and then a push higher into 2007. And the idea would be something like this. So it would only be right around a 2-to-1 if you're looking for that 2007. Not sure how much we'll get today. I wouldn't get too greedy on it. But we'll see. I mean, we could potentially pull our stop up if we can find structure. So if we decide to look for longs against 1998, we'll say, you could potentially look for, okay, price is coming down. Price comes down. We find some support here. Then you could potentially take a long, and then your stop could be below this newly found support, right? Then you're looking at like almost a 3-to-1. So this is probably the ideal scenario here, because you're looking at then an 83 pip take profit, and you don't really want to have like a pretty large stop. So this is the only option or only play that I'll entertain with gold today, since we are bullish, is I'll look for a higher low. Let me draw the fibs. That's right around the 50% retracement. Of this move. So yeah, that will be it. And take profits right around the negative 27%. Looking at pound yen. Pound yen worked out pretty well last night also, but we're still now hanging out in this wedge. Daily chart, I talked about this as well. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get out of here. So if you look at this 168, this top red line here, back in 2014, as well, a couple times in 2014, you had very strong rejection there. I mean, very, very, like it moved just very strong off that level. If you look at current price action, again, it's not just like a minor rejection. I mean, this thing, after you hit it, big rejection. Hit it, big rejection. Big rejection. Massive rejection, you know, big push to the downside. So this 168 is just something where you have a lot of volume come in and it just really struggles to break through. So there's not a chance that I'm going to even entertain long ideas into one. I mean, if you wanted to entertain long ideas, then maybe go for a scalp towards 168, but definitely don't get greedy and look for a take profit past 168, because that's just that's just being greedy because it's just such a strong rejection area. So yes, you could potentially get that breakout play and catch like 40 pips, 30 pips, but really nothing more than that. However, I'd prefer to take the better expected value in this case. And the expected value is going to be better to the downside, right? Because we only have around a, maybe a 40 pip play on pound yen to the upside. However, if we wait for the potential breakout to grab liquidity and then we look for some selling from here, then instead of 40 pips, we have around like 80 pips if we go to this 167, right? So I'd much rather play the downside on pound yen, especially if I'm looking for sells on US30. I talked about it in my Asian session video. If I'm looking for sells on US30, I really would prefer to see sells on pound yen as well, because although they're not one-to-one, they typically move in the same direction. Or if US30 is dropping off pretty heavily, pound yen is going to have really struggle breaking out. Even if it doesn't go down, it'll just probably consolidate. Just the way it works. That's the way it's been really with it the last 7 years that I've traded it. So, I mean, look, maybe the problem is maybe I'm wrong. My bias is wrong on the equities. However, US30 does have a bearish sequence now, so I'm going to play that the way it is and look for either a breakthrough highs and then sells, or if it just decides that it wants to reject this trend line here, then we'll look for sells just off of it. Probably wouldn't consider the sells until we broke through like these lows. Once you break through 167.3, then you could look for sells heading back down towards 167, and then potentially lower if we, but it does look like that we're wedging in here still. We still have a lot of room. Still haven't come down to retest 167. So it's likely we either do something like this, or if price is ready to go down, it will pop the highs and then go down, and it won't continue this wedge. If it grabs liquidity, pops the highs and comes down like this, then it probably won't continue the wedge here. It'll most likely just continue to the downside. So we'll see what we get for pound yen. Let's kind of just filter through a couple other pairs for everybody in case there's something else decent. Pound USD, 4-hour chart, sitting in this range, right? We have a lot of rejection to the upside wicks, a lot of rejection to the downside wicks. Hourly chart, not a fan at all. I mean, there's absolutely zero edge in pound USD today. I mean, what you'd want to do in this case is wait for a breakout. Let me get rid of some of these drawings here to make it a little more clear. I don't like cluttered charts. So this is it, right? You want to either look for a breakthrough these highs right around 124,600, and then look for a continuation like this, or you want to wait for a break below these lows, and you could look for then a selling continuation like this, right? So that's a valid opportunity, but there's clearly no trade in this range. I mean, if you're trading this range, you're doing it wrong. So wait for the breakout on pound USD, and you have a pretty decent range on both sides. You have around a 43 pip range, which is good for pound USD to the upside, and you have around a 60 pip range to the downside. So both very good ranges for pound USD. And I'll just add my alerts on both sides. And remember, pound USD and pound yen, don't trade them at the same time, because although again, they're not one-to-one, they do typically trend in the same direction. Pound AUD, sitting on top of this trend line with these higher lows, but we're sitting in this current consolidation. So we go from this upper end of the consolidation here, push down to now we're in this current consolidation. So not a great chart to play. A lot better plays out there today, so I'm not going to mess with pound AUD today, not until it gets out of the range. Euro USD, creating these higher lows. Trend line here, we have this flat top that we're sitting right underneath. So really the play for your Euro USD today would be a breakthrough 1.09530, these lows here, and you can then look for a continued sell-off. Or you can look for a breakthrough these highs, and then maybe look for a continuation to fill some of this move here. Just depends on what the dollar's going to do today, but it is wedging here nicely, so there is a potential play later on. USD JPY. Running into some pretty heavy wicks right here. Bring it left. See a lot of wicks, a lot of daily wicks. So it's going to be tough. It's going to struggle in this range. Let's look at the 4-hour chart. This is really the solid resistance point here. In this range we were just talking about, this is going to be the main point of rejection that we're going to keep an eye on. So zooming into current price action, you can see that yesterday we had that rejection wick, and currently is creating this flat top. We had this rejection wick from overnight session, these lower highs, sitting in this wedge right now. So we'll have to see what pound or what the US dollar does today, but it seems like it wants to head down, just based off of, okay, here was the open, we retested these highs, rejected, popped down through the open, retested the highs again, bigger rejection, bearish engulfing. So we're seeing some heavy price action right underneath of this daily resistance here. So I'd be looking for sells in USD JPY today. Maybe a pop through these lows, get on the other side of this EMA here, retest, and then look for a sell-off back down towards like 133.787 max, right? USD JPY doesn't typically have big moves to it. So this is the max play I'd look for. Maybe even keep an eye on just this area right here. This 134. Let's say 134 because that's a solid quarter point. That'll give you like right around maybe like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, depending on how it plays out. So it's respectable. AUD USD for mood drawings, start fresh. We're seeing a lot of rejection in this area here. You're seeing pretty heavy sell-off after that rejection, pretty heavy sell-off after that rejection. However, buyers are stepping in a little quicker on this rejection, so it seems like AU wants to push a little higher, which will go in line with everything I'm seeing as far as the dollar weakness. Seeing this double bot or this whatever bottom here, we are potentially breaking through this wedge that we were forming. Yeah, AU's on an active breakout right now currently from this wedge. Running into some potential resistance here. So what you could do is you could look for, there's two things you could do. Is like, do you want to be a little more aggressive today? Which might be the case because we're already moving, we're already up like 25 pips on the day. AU does not have a big range at all. I mean, peak to trough, you usually get like 40 pips, right? 40 pips. I mean, you'll get those big days where you get like 80 pips. But, this is 35 pips, 60 pips. So it's, you still have a good range, but if you're looking for like a decent, move to it, although keep in mind, we're still in this potential range here. We did break out of this trend line. And so we haven't gotten a retest yet. So maybe we come down, retest this breakout, and then we continue higher. Something similar to this. Or if you're not in the game to be aggressive today, wait for a breakout of these highs. And then look for then a retracement and then move like that. But that'll be around a 70 pip move. So then you have to understand, remember, AU doesn't have a big, very large average range. So, maybe then look for a take profit. Honestly, a take profit would realistically be like right around this area here. So, I mean, for AU, a 25 pip take profit, not bad, right? Because the stop loss is usually so low on it. It's like less than 10 pips. So you'll at least get a 2, 3 to 1, depending on where you decide to play. Not bad there. USD CAD, I'm going to take a wild guess and say we're going to sell off today. Because unless oil's weak. I don't even know what oil's doing. Haven't even looked at oil because it's just dog. Oil's weak. So if USD is weak and oil's weak, well, this might just consolidate. So not a huge fan of the USD CAD already. Not even looking at the chart. Fundamentally, not a huge fan of this pair here today. However, we are creating these nice lower highs. We're currently sitting at the 61.8% retracement. Also, where we saw this rejection prior week. So this could be an area where we sell off. Saw a lot of rejection volume here as well. So if I were playing USD CAD today, I would definitely look for a play, break through these lows, retest, and sell. This would be the ideal play for USD CAD today. AUD JPY, let's head on through, finish up these pairs so we can hop off and trade. I've decided to go through these pairs because, look, charts haven't been setting up until I haven't traded since 9 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, we have time. And I figured, maybe we can find some good plays out there for everybody. AUD JPY, let's take a look for move drawings here. Higher lows, breaking through this neckline on the daily chart. Now an active bullish sequence here above the EMA. 4-hour chart, just straight grinding to the upside for the last 3 weeks. Broke through this neckline, had a retest, and we've just been consolidating. Let's see, broke through this resistance. Looking left. This is going to be the next area of resistance. And so you could potentially, actually, it's pretty decent, right? Broke out, retest that range, and then continue to 90-80. It's around a 26 pip take profit. But again, the range on this is not bad because your take profit, I mean, it's going to be at least a 2 to 1. A little over probably if you were to play this. So we are now breaking out from the open here, consolidation, breaking out of these highs from yesterday. So you get a pullback and then a continuation. AUD CAD. Let's remove drawings. All right, so form somewhat of a head and shoulders here that we just broke through. Coming back to retest this neckline here. Also, we have a sloping down EMA where we had just rejected last month, coming up to potentially reject again for another leg to the downside. All right, so let's take a look at structure here. So let's draw it out. We have the high. This is the previous low. So this is the low, high, previous low, so low. Actually, I don't think this is a valid retracement. So it's probably going to end up being, this is the low. Let's draw the fibs real quick. Let's see. Yeah. So high equal lows. And so now we're breaking through this high. So currently on the 4-hour chart, we're actually breaking structure and we're now in a bullish sequence here, which is not really surprising because AUD's strong right now and the CAD oil's weak. So it makes sense if you think about it. So since we are now in an active bullish sequence, instead of anticipating that this will be an area we short off of, what we're going to do for today, at least, since we've been bullish, is I'd look for a retracement of this breakout here. and then a push up into this 9,900 zone, 91 even. Something like this would be ideal. Euro JPY, I'm going to take a wild guess and assume it's the same bias as pound yen because they move very, very similar. Again, Euro JPY, if you're trading pound yen, do not trade. You guys got to remember, like, if you're trading pairs, then don't trade correlated pairs at the same time. Sitting here at daily resistance, 4-hour chart. It's been grinding. It's been riding up, then grinding, just grinding its way up. And it seems like it's getting a little heavy to where it wants to roll over. We're sitting at this very strong daily resistance. 1-hour chart. Sitting right on top of this trend line with now this flat top. I wouldn't like any trade on this unless we broke through the highs, retested and ran, or we broke through these lows and we started an actual bearish sequence, because I don't want to sell into this trend line here. So these are the only two plays for Euro JPY. A lot better plays out there today. This is just ranging. I wouldn't touch this one. Euro GBP. This chart's ugly as shit. All right, so we have these lower highs, higher lows. So we were in this wedge. Currently, we're trying to break out. Struggling, though. A very wicky chart. Not a huge fan at all of this. Very wicky. I would consider this, you know, if you broke through, retested, and ran like this. Too many wicks to the downside for me to want to entertain shorts. So this is the only play I'd look at for your GBP. Again, there are better plays out there. This one's just, I hate this chart. It's super ugly. I wouldn't touch this one. Euro AUD daily chart. I just came up to this strong daily resistance. 4-hour chart. Sitting right on top of this trend line here. We've been creating these lower highs. That's the 1 hour. Really no edge in this today. Very choppy. Still trying to formulate a bias on this one. No trade on Euro AUD. CAD JPY. Remove drawings. We have resistance just north of price action. Starting to roll over with these lower highs, exhaustion wicks. Let's see. 4-hour chart, we had a... tried to break through, had a pretty big bearish engulfing candlestick. And we're now pushing through these lows. So we're in a bearish push to the downside, potentially retesting this breakout. We are, however, still creating, you know, these higher lows. So, you know, sells, I wouldn't be selling into this trend line here. Not a huge fan of this chart right now at the moment, that is. It's still setting up. So I'm going to move on to New Zealand CAD. Sitting in this descending channel here. Just retested, created a higher low. Bullish candlestick. This one looks like it wants to catch a nice bid. New Zealand CAD. Currently breaking out and retesting. We have a range to fill, but not much potential to the upside. Only 18 pips. Could be a potential maybe a 2-to-1 if you squeak it out. Could be a 2-to-1. Only like an 8 pip stop and 16 pip take profit. If you close back above this range, but not a heavy mover on this one. And last but not least, New Zealand USD. Got a heavy support just south of price action and creating these lower highs, breaking through this support. Pretty big exhaustion area. So we're now sitting in this. We're sitting in this range. Very, very choppy on the daily. Broke through this trend line. We're now creating lower highs, lower lows. But considering I'm looking for USD shorts and sitting on top of these lows, I'm not a huge fan of this chart just because we're looking for USD shorts and we're currently creating bear structure for New Zealand USD. So I'm not going to trade this one. So that's everything for the currencies. I'll wrap up the questions, then we'll hop off and trade on Zoom. What's going on, Mo? Yesterday was weird. Start with the dip, then they bought the dip all the way today. I don't know, but I don't want to buy here, honestly. I would definitely not buy. I mean, look, US30 is now on a bearish breakout here. US30, the Dow I expect fully, 4-hour candle closed below all the support, closed below the EMA. 1-hour chart, the EMA is sloping down. We're now breaking through the lows. I'd fully expect a sell-off in the equities today. S&P, same thing, broke through the lows. NASDAQ broke through the lows, looking at bearish price action. So yesterday was just like the last ditch effort for the dip buyers, and now that we're breaking structure to the downside, definitely not an area where I'd like to buy. I think we could potentially see a nice sharp sell-off in equities coming up. Also, which currency you think a good buy long-term, maybe for short-term? That's a tough one because I'm not a huge swing trader. Let me think fundamentally. If you think fundamentally, I think oil has a lot of potential to the upside. A lot of potential to the upside. So potentially buy CAD. So maybe sell USD CAD, because I think oil has a lot of potential to the upside. And I'm thinking fundamentally here. I'm not even going to look technically, because fundamentally is ultimately is what's going to drive your swing trade. And then let's see, the yen. I feel like the yen could be a So fundamentally, the yen, the yen has been shit, but honestly, the dollar's now shit. I'm surprised the dollar's not weaker than it is. Like, I think the dollar's going to have a pretty decent pullback. So if that's the case, then maybe look for a buy in like euro or the yen. But not a huge swing trader. So that's just, something. We'll see. But I'm going to hop off and trade with my guys on Zoom now. So have a lovely rest of your day, everybody. Have a lovely day, Mo. Yeah, safe trading out there, guys. And I'll see you. Have a great weekend, actually. It's Thursday. So I'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend.